I am a night shift guy, and I have coffee at midnight. Don't worry, folks, it's decaf. Let's finish this stuff up. Don't worry, we got the cold ones as usual. Wouldn't be a MultimediaJay stream without cold ones. All right, let's finish this stuff, man. Ah, yes. Most of the reason why I'm drinking that is because it's a hot beverage, so hot beverages go well with, kind of warming up your throat in advance for chit-chat type stuff like this. Welcome, folks that are tuning in, and of course, the folks visiting on YouTube when this becomes a YouTube video later on. Howdy, folks. This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay. Let's get some music going. Let's talk about some stuff that's going on over on Twitch with the DMCA. So last night, I basically, and by the way, this is the platform where concurrents don't matter. So if this is a big zero viewer Andy stream, doesn't matter. This isn't Twitch. I'm already a YouTube partner, and this is behind the scenes type stuff that I do with stuff that I do here. So last night, I actually did one of these on Twitch, and I was like, maybe I could do these on Twitch. Maybe they don't have to be on YouTube or anything. But the big issue with a behind-the-scenes stream on Twitch is that most of the time, whenever I'm doing something like this, I'm tinkering with something, usually software instead of hardware. So in a sense, this is the live answer to the tech videos. So I made the decision last night, if there's any chance that I'm going to be making something on stream, it should go into this category. The radio style show is for showing up with stuff to talk about and hammering out points. And I seriously think that I probably will definitely be working on some things in PowerPoint as a result of this discussion about what's going on with the DMCA over on Twitch. Twitch DMCA Mageddon. We talked about this with the last round of DMCAs over there in the summer. And now here we are again. Twitch has rolled out some tools for their streamers, including the Twitch soundtrack system. Let me see if I can get this to where I can see chat a little more easily. OBS YouTube integration. Can I get chat on here with OBS YouTube? It's a bit goofy sometimes. What do I have for docs? Not on YouTube. Very interesting. It's only a Twitch thing. Well, that's one of the issues with streaming on YouTube with this kind of thing. So I think I had to do live control room taking up one half the screen, and then, OBS on the other half. So we'll just go with that for that sort of thing. So the title on the eve of Twitch DMCA Mageddon, switch from hot ones to cold ones. The title on the eve of Twitch DMCA Mageddon, not 100% accurate, because technically this stuff goes live on Friday. Twitch sent out a warning message that's gone all around Twitter, and Twitter basically blew up with that now that they have all these tools out for DMCA, the normal processing of DMCA takedowns is going to pick up 12 noon Pacific Standard Time on Friday, October 23rd. So the fact that it's on a Friday, that's something that I'm really cracking up about, because if you know how corporate America works, Friday is the day when you release stuff, when you expect there to be an uproar about it, whether it's a new piece of software, whether it's, something that is not going to be popular, something that might give you some bad press. That way everybody just stews about it over the weekend, and maybe whoa, too loud. Sorry, Ethan Mikesel. Maybe what happens is people settle down by the end of the weekend. And so as a result of that, people may settle down, and it won't be as big of a crap storm as it otherwise would be. Why am I even bothering with worrying about swearing? This stream's not monetized. YouTube has a bit of a problem with demonetizing streams right now, so I don't expect monetization to work on live streams for the foreseeable future anyway, so doing some more experimenting. This will probably turn into a spin-off video instead of keeping the VOD around, because the big issue that I noticed right before going live on YouTube tonight, that YouTube actually defaults your chat to not replaying when people watch the stream afterwards. So what exactly is the point? What exactly is the point of waiting for the extra processing for a live stream instead of making it into a spin-off video. If your objective is to take a stream and convert it to a YouTube video raw like that, what's the point? So that's probably what's going to happen. Probably make a spin-off video and delete the replay, and we'll just get it up onto the channel quicker that way, because there's a ton of extra processing for converting live streams to videos. It's actually faster to use the video editor to direct convert them over. Okay, so Twitch Copyright Mageddon. This is my jokey little nickname for this DMCA mess that blew up Twitter earlier. Looking at some of the things here. I should probably, I was joking about when is Fusely becoming a YouTube streamer, because she was partnered recently and celebrating it. And then she was turning around and saying, well, I still got the 2 copyright strikes, because copyright strikes don't actually expire. See, nothing. Not much for Twitter, huh? Okay. Yeah, copyright strikes don't expire on Twitch yet. And that really just showcases how Twitch is in the position that YouTube was in many years ago. I mean, first of all, from the beginning, I knew that a platform like YouTube would have copyright issues at some point. When I first started making videos, we gotta make this into a PowerPoint slide as well. When I first started making videos, I started out with royalty-free music. I insisted on buying ULead Video Studio at the time because of the Smart Sound library. And so when, predictably, the copyright nonsense showed up, I just kept using the royalty-free music, even though other people were getting away with using copyrighted music in all their videos. And so my videos were never as popular because the people weren't humming along the soundtrack, among other things. But eventually, we started seeing people getting strikes. And then once there were other options for rights holders besides giving strikes all the time, we started seeing audio getting muted all over the place. I remember Warner Music was huge on that. I kept seeing videos with no audio because, oh, this contains stuff that belongs to WMG or whatever, Warner Music, so the audio's been muted. Then that evolved into Content ID. I think the next step for YouTube is a proportional claim system where if you have something that's Content ID'd, it doesn't take away all the ad revenue, but only the ad revenue that's proportionate to the amount of time it's in the video. So if you stream for 6 hours and you play a 3-minute song, you lose 3 minutes of ad revenue instead of 6 hours of ad revenue. So the record companies may not like that, but fair is fair. I mean, especially if it's an accidental thing, like if the system picks up that you're in a store somewhere and like a Katy Perry song was playing over the PA, and now your video is Content ID'd because of something you can't do anything about except not visit the store. But the pitfalls of IRL streaming or other stuff like that is something we can talk about at some other time. All right, so what are we going to do here? A little bit of recap. No, that's all Twitch specific. I'm looking at an article that I posted on Twitter called The Shady Side of Twitch, and they talk about, for example, how Twitch doesn't really support new streamers. I think we can hold off on that until some other time here. We can hold off on that. We want to talk about stuff related to DMCA. So let's see here. We're writing to inform you. Here's the tweet from Rod Breslau over on Twitter. He posted a screenshot. We're writing to inform you that your channel was subject to one or more DMCA takedown notifications. The content identified has been deleted. We recognize that by deleting this content, we are not giving you the option to file a counter notification or seek a retraction from the rights holder. In consideration of this, we have processed these notifications and are issuing a one-time warning to give you the chance to learn about copyright law and the tools available to manage the content on your channel. So there's people that are getting stuff taken down. They're getting warnings in their emails and things along those lines. And so let's see what kind of stuff people are saying on Twitter about this. I have, let's see, concurrent viewers. That's not on topic. We'll drop that. Concurrent viewers. Basically, I was going to talk about how we made some graphics and stuff, but we can do that some other time. All right, let's look at DMCA as on Twitter. Actually, why don't we start with a Twitter recap of some of the things that I want to talk about here. So, once I saw, and I think it was also, there are two people on Twitter that we have to give shout-outs to. Zach Bussey, who's a Twitch streamer who does commentary on the multimedia meta, as well as news coverage on his streams on Twitch, as well as Rod Breslau, aka Slasher, who often posts things like, he's like the WikiLeaks of Twitch. So, the stuff that he posts on Twitter is usually, oh, someone gave this to me, so I posted it. One of those deals. But Twitch support posted a thread, which actually was technically forum necromancy, if you know about, like, stuff on forums where people bring back an old thread from a long time ago. So, the original thread that they had, the original thread that they had, and talking about their audible magic system and whatnot that mutes everything, da-da-da-da, I've also noticed that Twitch clipping is getting a lot more paranoid if there's music playing in the background. I've had a lot of clips get instantly deleted by the system because there was background music or something. There's a couple of situations that I've run into with that more recently. See, more control of your content. So this was a discussion from the last DMCA Mageddon round, so to speak, from June and July, da-da-da. Clips Manager, you not individually download clips of your most viewed or delete everything with one click. In the coming months, we'll continue to add features to help improve control of your clips, because clips were cited for DMCA because clips and highlights stick around as opposed to the regular Twitch content that expires. So, and I don't get why the audio muting system can't be more robust in preventing these kinds of DMCA issues. Like, in a sense, I talk about one of the issues with YouTube is that time and again, you see their administrative decisions dump on the creators more so than address the problems as a platform systemically. This is an example of Twitch doing that. So, October 20th, a quick update on our ongoing work to give you more control over your content and help you make informed choices about using music on your channel while respecting the rights of our music community partners. We recently created educational resources and have improved the tools available which help you manage live and recorded content on your channel. For additional information, they have a Creator Camp article there. There's a meeting coming up on the Creator Camp Twitch channel, so they'll be having some meeting of which basically like YouTube copyright school. We also recommend checking out sources of licensed music for streamers like Monster Cat, Soundstripe. Twitch also rolled out their soundtrack system, though I mostly use the YTAL that we're listening to right now, the YouTube audio library, because much of what I do on Twitch is pointed at YouTube. Sending over stuff after the fact is something I'm a big fan of because Twitch has an incredibly good UI for taking highlights and sending them over to YouTube. So, and I think a better, more permanent home for stuff, because Twitch doesn't have very good search engine technology compared to YouTube and Google, of course. But I'm a big fan of, as you've seen this past summer when I went overboard with it, sending over highlights from the streams and stuff. But I don't want the YouTube channel to become just stream highlights. Never did. It's just one of those new toy things. You're like, new toy, new toy, new toy. And it just gets so fun and stuff like that. But you go a little overboard with it. And it got to the point, particularly with the radio style show, where I started viewing the radio style shows even in a highlight form as rough drafts for YouTube videos, like what I want to do about the multimedia meta. I'd be doing some of that tonight if it wasn't for all this DMCA crap going on right now. That was my plan. I mean, it's not busy at the 9 to 5. I'm able to come home early and work on stuff for longer and feel like I have more free time than when I was running around during the summer. But yeah, this YouTube Audio Library. I have used YouTube Audio Library exclusively for background music since the wacky world of MultimediaJay has been a thing. Matter of fact, the world map theme by Jason Farnham was the opening theme to the original Wacky World of MultimediaJay season. And of course, Newegg TV started using it. The point is, though, a lot of people like to think of copyright-free music as crappier than commercial music that gets you in trouble with the DMCA. But what you need to remember, and we can load up Firefox for this, hopefully, let me just minimize live control room so it doesn't show the wrong screen here. Let's load up Firefox. A lot of people talk about copyright-free music like it's always something worse. The truth is, some of the people that are contributing to the system over on YouTube are actually indie musicians themselves. I've been playing a lot of Slink for bump music here and over on Twitch. And let's load Firefox here. Here's Slink's YouTube channel. We're not talking about some rando that sends stuff over to the YouTube audio library every so often, or any of the shovelware stuff we've seen show up that didn't sound all that inspired. If you've heard some of the music I've been using lately, it's mostly from this guy. So here's Slink's channel. I'm subbed. Matter of fact, let me click the bell. All notifications, please, YouTube. Yeah, sub to this guy. The theme song that I like the most that I use is actually called, well, there's two of them. There's Dr. Momentum, which sounds kind of 80s-ish, kind of like Dr. Disrespect's kind of music. And then there's Call the Shots, which has a lot of retro game sounds in it, or should I say synthesizer sounds, because there's a lot of old NES 8-bit sounds were done with synthesizers like square wave, sine wave, sawtooth wave, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's not a situation where it's always blah music. There are actually indie music artists. There are people that are actually, some of them are YouTubers with channels that are contributing to these libraries. So I don't know what the situation is with Soundtrack by Twitch. I got invited into that earlier, but I have yet to use it. We'll check it out at some point. Maybe I should do a behind the scenes stream over there where we play around with it and work on some other stuff. But I want the behind-the-scenes stuff to be over on YouTube for the most part, because it's the live counterpart to the Wacky World of MultimediaJay. I'm tinkering with something, I'm making something, it lines up perfectly. It's just a live stream instead of a YouTube video. Let's continue reading this Twitter stuff. Deleting or disabling clips and VODs can help, but if you don't have the rights or authority to use music, you are at risk of a takedown request from rights holders. Please see our DMCA guidelines for more info, including how to submit a counter notification. We're incredibly proud of the essential service Twitch has become for so many creators, including songwriters, artists, and other music industry partners during this challenging time. It is critical to us that their rights are respected. Someone's complaining already. Well, you're under Amazon. You have Amazon Prime. Why don't you have something that ties into that? Kind of like with watch parties and stuff. Let me just say, for the people that are complaining that Amazon should get more involved, watch parties on Twitch are for Prime members only, because they're essentially watching the video directly. Your stream is married up with the Prime system playing the video. See, your stream does not actually contain the copyrighted movie that you're watching. It's married up to it in a separate window through the interface. But what these Prime subs are watching when you have a watch party on Twitch, they are watching Amazon Prime with you, basically. So if there was if you actually show the footage as part of your stream, you're still subject to DMCA. So it's right there in the literature on it. Twitch has, if Twitch had an audio system that worked that way, it would probably run the same way. There might be people that can't hear the music if they don't have an account with something and things like that. So it's not as simple as some people think. We're talking about an industry here that has a very long and established, and at this point it's centuries, reputation, technically 100 years, so we can start talking centuries now. You know, radio first started becoming a thing in the 1920s-ish or so. But there are actually articles out there that talk about the history of the music industry and the movie industry and how they've been antagonistic to all kinds of technology that gives consumers individual choice. You know, from the VCR to television even to Napster and stuff like that. So we're talking about industry that is very tenacious, very defensive, and doesn't really understand some of the reasons why creators would use copyrighted music or even hum along to it or something like that. So I think what's in play here, though, is there just is no understanding of the idea of recreational use. I talk about recreational users in respect to people who talk about the multimedia meta over on Twitch and also on YouTube as well. And what the deal is with that is everybody's talking about how you just grow your stream, grow your stream, grow your stream, get bigger, get bigger, get bigger, get bigger. So, but what's missing is, what if somebody just wants to play Call of Duty to some friends that are not physically at their house, especially during this pandemic environment with social distancing and everything? Why not make more use of internet technology to help with things like not catching the virus? That's the thing. So I'm very surprised. I'm actually very surprised that anybody forgets about recreational use. But never mind the content creators that are talking about, they're doing multimedia meta discussions, and they're talking about this whole situation, well, not talking about recreational users. The music and movie industry does not acknowledge that at all. So I've read their literature. And I've seen, more importantly, I've seen what they do in certain situations. You know, We've seen it on YouTube. With YouTube's own progression with the copyright system here. You've seen situations where someone makes a cutesy little video of their kid dancing to a song on the radio and it gets flagged because, well, it's the radio. I'm actually curious, how much of a backlash does there have to be through educating the general public about indie artists and other folks, and even folks contributing to the YTAL, the YouTube Audio Library? How much do we have to get the word out to people before it starts hitting these record companies where it counts? Their pocketbook. Because people stop wanting to listen to Top 40 as much. And they want to listen to... And so I think some musicians, too, are getting kind of rebellious as well when they try to, for example, control the distribution of their stuff. Like if they have a SoundCloud or something like that, or they try and get on the radio without getting the record companies involved, and they're trying to do stuff themselves. There's a few artists, I actually hear some streamers say nice things about them because they're trying to retain control of what it is that they do. But, alright, this Twitter stuff. Let me just go over some of my own tweets as well. We talked about the Twitch support thing here. Let's just keep scrolling. Cynicism towards Discord, the graphics from last night. Send them to Quirky Pixel as well. Twitch DMCA Mageddon in round 2 and 3, 2, 1, da-da-da-da. I was kind of transitioning discussions away from the discussion about concurrent viewers and why Twitch is wrong to emphasize concurrence. Like, for example, this stream so far has had 1 concurrent, 2 concurrents, 0 concurrents, but 9 views so far. So people are coming and going. The YouTube Live control room gives me a lot quicker response in terms of who's coming and going than Twitch's interface does. So it illustrates a lot better how if you have somebody that's averaging 1,000 concurrent viewers, their audience is probably way bigger than 1,000 viewers. Because you're... No, we talked about that. Probably go talk about this some other time, but let's see what we got here. Alright, let's look at some of these tweets. So what does Fusely become a YouTube streamer? Yeah, she has 2 copyright strikes, and then she got partnered. So, what would stink is if she got banned for DMCA. And one of the problems with Twitch is that Twitch is almost like... If you've ever been in a really charged group of people where they pretend you don't exist if you ever leave their clique, that's essentially what Twitch's own guidance tells streamers to do. You're not allowed to knowingly advertise banned streamers. You can't have them on stream. And if you're in a match with them, you have to mute them, block them, or in some way kick them off your podcast, so to speak. Kick them off your broadcast. So these harsh rules are specific to Twitch. You don't see, even look through YouTube's rules, they're a lot more reasonable in that respect. So in the case of anybody who gets DMCA'd, it's now TOS on Twitch for their fellow streamers to blow them off. So, look, here's the thing. I talk a lot about Twitch's strong branding, that they've done such an incredibly good job convincing people that Twitch is the world when it comes to streaming. There's younger millennials out there that have made something of themselves as Twitch streamers, but they're too young to have really done a lot with YouTube during their high growth years of the late 2000s. So, mid to late 2000s. So there's people out there with skewed views of YouTube versus Twitch, and as a result of that, there's skewed views of Twitch itself. Twitch has incredibly good branding, but as a result of that, I often wonder how many streamers out there, if they realize just how antagonistic Twitch's policies are, how many of these people would be scared of Twitch, scared off the platform? Maybe get another regular job until they can get established on YouTube or Facebook or something. So, that's the thing. Because if you look at, for example, the unintended consequences of concurrent viewers on Twitch, that should scare the living daylights out of you. Same thing, too, with the way they handle DMCA. Strikes don't expire, and also Twitch, if you're banned off of Twitch, streamers on Twitch are supposed to blow you off like you don't exist. That's one of the controversies with them right now. Why is it that with all of these systems in place, that nobody is scared off the platform? Why aren't people recognizing this? Why are people Or how about the audience ratio that we crunched from those Q3 numbers earlier? That Twitch is now behind YouTube and Facebook to the tune of over 100 points now. And I can see the difference in the platforms. There are people coming and going way more frequently here on YouTube than I get on Twitch. I know Twitch's system is slower, but I mean, I've got a line graph of who arrived and left, when, and things along those lines. It's right here on the live control room thing, and it's cool. It's nice to see, you know, the mechanics of how streams work in action. But, all right, let's keep on going here. The question I always have is how quickly will Twitch catch up to YouTube? We got to make a PowerPoint slide about that. The development was, it went from strikes only, second is audio muting, third is content ID, fourth step would be proportional claims. DMCA was trending in the United States earlier because of that sort of stuff. Devin Nash, Twitch commentator over on Twitch, although he's changed his format a bit to be more like a radio show with regular guests and interviews and stuff like that. Not so much commentary on the multimedia meta. But he's gone nuts about the DMCA thing. It is insane that Twitch informs partners that they deleted their content, that there's no more content in violation, despite having no identification system to find out what it is. Their solution to DMCA is for creators to delete their life's work. This is pure gross negligence. Okay, Devin. Look, if you are using copyrighted music in your Twitch streams, you're already in the wrong. And you're already, not only that, but you're probably naive as well if you don't already know this is a problem. So, we're talking about an industry with its head in the past, constantly. If you, for example, do a karaoke song on a Twitch stream, that is considered a public performance without authorization. And another infamous copyright thing on the YouTube side of things was, I think it was Venetian Princess, who had lots of problems with parodies because record companies were trying to get the ad revenue via Content ID because of the sheet music being copyrighted. Because the tune was similar, then boom, Content ID. So, but I think a lot of what's going to upset a lot of these Twitch people, though, is just the fact that the gravy train is over. But let's face it, Twitch turned into the next Mixer. I kind of had a rather not lousy, but rather off the beaten path discussion about Mixer being a small platform. And so people want to go to a small platform where they could not have to worry about copyrighted music until the record companies found out. But kind of Twitch is sort of in that position with the smallness versus YouTube in terms of hits per day and traffic and things like that. I mean, they have millions versus YouTube's billions here. So, you know, there's some content creators on Twitch that make me wonder if they're, despite being as big as they are they running up against the limits of Twitch because of its platform size versus YouTube? So, let's keep looking through these tweets here. So, yeah, but here's the thing. You can't be relying on copyrighted music for your content to be good. That means your content isn't good enough if you feel like you need to put yourself at risk because of this. Many years ago, I accepted the challenge of perusing and becoming familiar enough with the YouTube audio library that I can pick out some good music to play in the background and have music 100% from YouTube's official whitelist. There's been a few wild exceptions. Like, for example, I've used an NCS track every so often, like that Interstellar song that I've used on the Radio Style show. But that also, of course, has a rigorously defended copyright-free status. The big thing with NCS, though, is it's a little too electronic and dubsteppy. So the songs that I've liked are the ones that were the least like a blah blah love song or a dubstep wannabe or dubstep clearinghouse, I should say. But in terms of a wide variety of genres, the YTAL is a lot better than it used to be. And quite frankly, I love the new UI. The new UI, I think, is something that really moves the YouTube audio library forward. They just have to put in something about the lack of metadata and the fact that the files you download from the YTAL nowadays are going to be song artist instead of artist song. I have half of mine to re-download everything that I use, just so everything can be named that way. Actually, what I should do, I gotta find an MP3 program that actually mass assigns metadata based on the names of the files. Long time ago, there used to be programs that did that. I may need that now for the YouTube audio library. So say that it's song artist and have it fill in metadata for that, so that way I can sort when I go through looking for music. So let's see here. All right, see, this made it onto The Verge. DMCA, I've taken hits for years because of respecting rights holders and asset permissions. That's side effect of my audiovisual background, where the multimedia part of MultimediaJay comes from. I used royalty-free music for years on YouTube. Yeah, excuse me, and then went exclusive with the YTAL when it came out. These days on Twitch, it's YTAL and OC Remix, though mostly YTAL. So, DMCA, yeah, so in my heydays with royalty-free music, man, did I burn money on that stuff. There was one point where I was paying $50 a song. $50 freaking dollars a song. I would not, obviously I didn't have the money to buy a lot of songs that way, but basically when I decided something was going to be my new main theme for like a vlog or tech video or whatever, that's how I would actually buy a $50 song. But I ran into problems where in the younger days of Content ID, Content ID disputes, so you no longer automatically get the revenue until somebody else proves that it's, you know, they have the rights to it. It all goes in, if there's a dispute, it goes into escrow until it's resolved, and then the winning party gets all the money. I think that's really what shut it all down. To see here, shady side of Twitch. Dear younger millennials who've been riding the Twitch gravy train and act like Twitch is all there is, it's time to grow up. All right, let's fire up PowerPoint here and let's make some graphics and bulleted lists and things along those lines. I think we can start with some basic stuff to talk about what's going on with this whole thing. Oh yeah, I want a new slide and everything. J slides, new. And let's get rid of the previous one from discussing Twitch people and stuffy rules. All right. Load up. So I think the first slide we should probably make is... The first slide that we should probably make is progression. Progression of copyright on YouTube. So I joined YouTube in the mid-2000s, and I took hits on my popularity from the very beginning because I wasn't using copyrighted music. There were people making videos... There were people making videos that had... There were people out there that were making videos that had copyrighted music for their theme song and stuff like that. Now, one of the things the music industry doesn't think about is how publicity introduces people to certain songs. So, one vintage example is that despite watching Ninja Turtles in the 90s when I was growing up, I didn't actually know about the Pizza Power song. But Big Al 2K6, who was vlogging at the time, would use Pizza Power as the intro to his songs. And of course, I think it was some Armake 21 reviews that opened with some rock tracks, and I was like, oh, what song is that? And I went looking for it, went looking for the lyrics, and was introduced to some music back in the 2000s that way. So this is the sort of thing that the music industry doesn't think about. It's all about, you know, doing things the old-fashioned way as long as humanly possible. I poked around on the RIAA's website before, seeing how they say that they're pro-technology, but actions speak louder than words. So, let's see here. Actually, no, let's do general progression of copyright on YouTube. So, one of the key moments, of course, was the infamous Viacom lawsuit. When I first came... Okay, so Wild West. Mid-2000s. The Wild West, as we shall call it. People were using YouTube as a VCR for things like Family Guy episodes. Until, of course, the infamous Viacom lawsuit. Until, of course, the infamous Viacom lawsuit. See, one of the reasons why YouTube has had to be very experimental with some of these systems is because they're the first, what's called in business, the first mover. So they assume they have to figure things out, whereas everybody who comes after them can basically learn from what YouTube went through. So they were the ones that had to deal with the Viacom lawsuit that basically ended the Wild West. They started working on a system, and of course, the first thing they did... Will this go back to a smiley if... Uh-oh. There. Let's see, yep. So, why don't we not even bother with the mid-2000s? I don't really want to attach time frames to all of this. So So after YouTube had to start doing stuff, let's see, first and worst is nothing but strikes. And this is actually a situation where people were abusing this fledgling system to censor their critics. Thinking like mid to late 2000s here. This is the situation that Twitch is now in. They don't have an alternative like Content ID or anything like that yet. So this is basically what all these Twitch streamers are walking into. And it's something that YouTubers have known for a very long time. Of course, people are going to be upset because the gravy train is over, and they have to worry about stuff that YouTubers have had to worry about for years. And so I'm actually curious with regards to content creators on Twitch, is there going to be the equivalent of what we call in business a shakeout, where people decide that they can't handle a world where they can't use copyrighted music, so they stop streaming altogether? So... or maybe they go to a smaller platform like DLive or something, and this cat and mouse game continues. I think DLive... what is DLive anyways in terms of... I haven't even looked at their stats, but they're usually pretty small. There's a streamer who I highly recommend if you want to compare the platforms against each other. Megan Yeah is an incredible streamer to subscribe to on YouTube, follow on Twitch. I think she does DLive as well. But she multi-streams, and she has concurrent counters for her streams. So you can see, like, the effects of YouTube's technology in action. I can see the effects of YouTube's technology in action here. You know, 12 people have watched my stream so far. Just not a lot of them at a time. Thanks to the folks for tuning in. So, that's the equivalent of 12 views, so we're already doing better than most of the highlights that come over from YouTube. Or come over from Twitch, excuse me. So, this is what Twitch... This is where the Twitch streamers are at. Maybe we should turn this purple. This is where Twitch is at, and what Twitch streamers will be walking into. So the onus, or the emphasis, the mandate, what's very important... Maybe we should turn this purple. Why don't we have some fun? I mean, we are kind of going ha-ha to Team Purple here, so... let's turn this some kind of purple. Can we still read it? That's too dark. More colors. Let's try like lavender. Alright, change this back to white for the rest of the slides. Actually, that kind of ruins it. Undo, undo. Kind of makes it unreadable. So, obviously a system that's nothing but strikes is going to... Here's the problem. And this goes back to, a slide that I deleted. The demographics thing between good people and bad people. The most basic demographics that a YouTuber or a streamer can look at here. So, if you have a system that hands out strikes and terminates your account, and there's never any other outcome of that, the problem is that the people who care and the people who are worried are going to be... They're going to clam up. They're not going to want to lose their accounts. So you're going to hamper their creativity. So... YouTube did not leave the ball in this part of the court. They tried to move forward from it. They wanted to come up with some kind of better solution. And of course, that's where Content ID came from. So the question is, what's next for Twitch? Yeah, Twitch has Twitch Soundtrack. Haven't tried it yet. Maybe I should. We'll see what kind of music's available. Maybe have like a Twitch Soundtrack after party on Twitch or something after the stream. We've got some time. So next up would be Content ID. Now, there is one fundamental problem I have with the Content ID system, and the reason why I will treat a Content ID match as the equivalent of a copyright strike, even though it isn't, and that is because rights holders can change their policies at any time. Something, excuse me, something that is monetized and your money goes off to the company can turn into they block it. And I think if there's a worldwide block, it's considered a copyright issue on your account. DMCA takedowns are something that have to be... that's a legal process. They have to actually deliver a takedown request, which then the company is obligated to respond to. Another element of this, too, is just how old the DMCA is as a law. 1990s. Goes back to the dial-up era. Grotesquely outdated, but until it's updated, until this law on the books is updated, it's what we have to work with. And it's what YouTube, most importantly, has to work with. Alright, so Content ID. This is where we start seeing redirection of ad revenue. Ad revenue without a formal strike. So if you use the weakness of it right now, biggest issue right now is proportions. But we don't want to get to that. We don't want to get to that just yet. Biggest issue right now is proportions. A 3-minute song can redirect the ad revenue of a 15-minute video or 6-hour stream, etc. As a side effect of this, what if there are multiple rights holders who can make claims? We'll revisit that later. And of course, let's also not forget for Content ID, notable historical problem. People, or small orgs, rights management companies trying to monetize way too much and generating false positives. This is what I ran into in the early 2010s, and what the big reason why I stopped using royalty-free music. Because even though it was royalty-free, there were organizations, there were small rights management companies out there that were trying to pass off royalty-free tracks as though they were copyrighted works. So I remember there was a track that sounded very similar to Van Halen by Rick Rhodes. And it was the company that gave me trouble by flagging my videos tried to make it look like it was a song called Joe Athlete Calorie Crusher. Like it was some kind of workout music album somewhere. Which I'm sure would come as quite a surprise to the actual owners of the rights to that music over in Rick Rhodes' neck of the woods. So, why is this being flagged? Oh, I forgot the hyphen. Yeah, let's put in the hyphens on these. Let's see, yep. Come on. Darn menu. Ah, it's off to the side. 6-hour stream, etc. So that was the thing. The next step, and this is a big one, is Content ID escrow. The biggest upgrade to the Content ID system. Disputes go into an escrow account until the dispute is resolved. Shuts down the cottage industry of companies trying to take your ad revenue until you successfully dispute it. So this is currently where we're at. Currently where YouTube is at as of October 2020. We might as well mention that for Twitch as well, as of October 2020. Let's highlight these in yellow to illustrate where the platforms are at and why I'm talking specifically about Twitch catching up to YouTube. So Twitch right now just has strikes. There's no fancy system yet, and I'm curious how quickly they're going to scramble to make one, because Twitch is in very bad shape versus YouTube so long as they don't have something like this. People should not be afraid to make content for platforms. The minute they do, you start losing your competitive edge versus your competitors. So way down here with Content ID escrow, which is a newer system, that's where we're at here on YouTube. So this is going to shrink the font because I'm going off the bottom here. What I think is next... Alright, we'll label this one speculation and probably turn a different color. What I think is next, proportional Content ID. This is going to be very important. It's going to be extremely important that YouTube does something like this ASAP as they become a more well-known streaming platform, because you don't want to have a copyright issue demonetizing a 7 or 8 hour stream if you're a full-time streamer. So there's a problem right now with demonetization where the system for streams is a lot more paranoid than the system for videos. What I've been running into with streams is that they're always demonetized until the VOD finishes processing, as the Twitch people would call it, until the replay finishes processing. and then suddenly you can turn off the monetization, wait 10 minutes, and then it'll work afterwards, because the content was never against the monetization guidelines in the first place. The system was just super paranoid. I don't know when YouTube's going to fix that, but hey, I look forward to whenever they do. This stream is not monetized as a result of that. So we'll play around with monetization with the replay or the spin-off video. Gotta do some more experimenting behind the scenes after the stream. So here's what I'd like YouTube to do next. This is Jay talking now. The next step, especially as YouTube becomes a bigger, more well-known streaming platform, is proportional content ID. So the current content ID system is upgraded to allow for proportional claims. So in other words, if you use a 3-minute song in a 6-hour stream, 3 minutes of ad revenue goes to the rights holder instead of 6 hours. Can you see now where, as YouTube becomes more of a streaming platform, they're gonna have to fix this? Heck, you know, there might be something under NDA right now, maybe that the engineers will be like, yeah, we're doing that, but we can't say anything. You never know. I don't work for YouTube, so I'm in no position to say any of this. This is all speculation. So I think this is the next step that YouTube needs to take. Also, another thing too, and the record companies will like this: people who use multiple claimable songs to the system will this system would allow for multiple claimants to all claim at the same time. So if you use 2 copyrighted songs at different points in the stream, 3 minutes each, you lose 6 minutes of ad revenue, and each record company now gets those 3 minutes because it's their stuff, their system, right? And so your option, of course, would be, if you want a higher proportion of ad revenue, even we know that we want a higher proportion of ad revenue, you would obviously use stuff that wasn't going to cause DMCA issues. You'd learn about indie music, you'd learn about Harris Heller's Stream Beat project, you'd learn about the YouTube audio library, you'd learn about the Pretzel player, you'd learn about NCS. There are options out there. You've got to be careful, though. I got stung by Content ID with Overclocked Remix, even though OC Remix is a site that allows you to give credit when playing songs on YouTube. The artist who contributed to OC Remix later signed with a record label. So even though OC Remix does not do anything with Content ID, his new record label did, and my song got claimed in, my video got claimed in Content ID. Not because of OC Remix, but because the artist turned around and signed later. So that's really the tricky side to all of this, is that you don't know what the future is going to hold for some of these artists. So maybe that's why there needs to be some kind of perpetual system like the YouTube audio library, so that it is permanently whitelisted. Permanently. There are no other options. So, by the way, this wide range of music is from the YouTube audio library. So let's see what we're looking at here. I'm looking at some of the stats for the stream. I love Live Control Room. I really think YouTube did a very good job upgrading to this new system. There's a couple of things UI-wise that YouTube should work on to progress even further in Team Red's revenge against Twitch. But I'll keep those smarmy little comments to Twitter for now. So, speculation, yeah, proportional content ID, current content ID system is upgraded to allow for proportional claims. The system will allow for multiple claimants to all claim at the same time, and it would replace the winner take all system with a sliding scale. So if you wanted more revenue, you can just use less copyrighted music. Hey, since we're shrinking the font and everything, let's add another sub point for here. Multiple copyrighted songs from multiple record PowerPoint record labels. I think I'm hitting the limits of streaming and PowerPoint, and it might be using part of the GPU as well. Come on, Monolith, you can handle this. Multiple copyrighted songs from multiple record labels at 3 minutes each in a 6-hour stream equals 6 minutes to the record companies, 3 to each, and the rest to you. Just use less copyrighted music if you wanted more revenue. And so that would actually create an incentive. That would create an incentive for creators to learn more about music that's not going to trip the systems like this. I think that would probably be a cool thing. So there's the progression of copyright on YouTube, not in YouTube. What was I thinking? So, should we turn this red? Should we turn this red? Yeah, let's turn this bright red. YouTube's team red, darn it. We're the red team. Nah. So there's our progression of copyright on YouTube. We'll send this over to the Twitter afterwards. So, Family Guy episodes. Yeah, I remember that. YouTube was once upon a time, YouTube was practically the world's VCR. Probably still some documentaries out there, stuff from TV shows and whatnot. So this is a cat and mouse game that YouTube's been fighting for a long time. But the point is they're doing something. If you know anything about DMCA, lawyers know the most, by the way. That's not me. But even as a layman, as it were. The big thing that's in play here is what's called safe harbor, so that platforms have to do something about claims that are sent their way. Otherwise, instead of a problem with Joe's streamer using copyright music, now it's a problem with YouTube. The record companies sue YouTube for not following safe harbor, and it's an even bigger problem. So no business that knows what they're doing is going to do anything different than what the platforms are doing, because it's what the law requires. So the next step, of course, but the big thing that the companies do have control over is how they handle these things, what systems they roll out, so that repeat offenders lose access to the system, and how long is it, things like that. If I was involved, what I would do is if I was making a DMCA policy, if you got your 3 copyright strikes within a certain time period, first of all, I'd base it on YouTube, where strikes have a work-off period and they expire, as opposed to Twitch, where they don't have that yet. So what I would do is I would make a system. And this system, what I would do is I would make a system, and this system would have a 1-year ban for 3 copyright strikes. If you came back and you did it again, it's 2 years. Then it's 4 years until you're effectively permabanned because your penalties keep doubling. So, if you get to the point where you still haven't learned your lesson and you get banned for like 16 or 32 years from my platform, then obviously this would fix it. But the thing is, it always has a way for people to change if they change later in life. You know, if somebody, for example, doesn't know what they're doing and they're like 19 years old making YouTube videos, and then they're 29 years down the road and they've learned about copyright, they've learned about other stuff, and they're a lot more mature about things. You want to treat 29-year-old so-and-so differently than you did 19-year-old so-and-so. The thing is, a lot of these systems haven't been around long enough for anybody to really seriously start thinking about that. What are we up to for playbacks on the stream? Alright. It's down now. So YouTube has... Oh, look at this. YouTube has the same systems that are evaluating... that are evaluating the views. So, a lot of what YouTube has, I don't take too seriously for streaming because they're obviously still working on some stuff. If this was a video, I'd be like, what? Alright, let's go with the progression of copyright on YouTube. Let's go with my own progression on copyright for the people that may be wondering, who the heck is this guy? We're just going to make a parody slide of that with the style. So we're going to do my progression with copyright on YouTube. Just to give you folks an example of me practicing what I preach. I've been involved on YouTube since 2006. Made the account spring 06, started making videos fall of 06. And I've learned a ton since then. But I didn't start from square one. So, first order of business. I came to YouTube having already been an audio-visual guy in college. MultimediaJay was actually originally an AOL Instant Messenger screen name, if anyone remembers that. I used to have a screen name that was more specific to computers, but I was not just a computer guy in college. I worked with some IT guys, was friends with some IT guys, but one of the big things I ran into in college was, you know, audio-visual, despite being different than formal computer stuff, was still very useful to know about. How to work with data projectors, presentations, colors, you know, color combinations, like how to make the slides pleasant to the eyes and things like that. I find that Microsoft is pretty good with that, with the default stuff these days. The PowerPoint of 2020 is so much nicer than the PowerPoint of 2000, 1997, 2003. Or how about Office 2007, when the ribbon was so much more clunky? Memories, man. So the thing is, I came to YouTube having already been an audiovisual guy in college, and so we actually had a big sign on the desk in the AV office that said, "Please do not ask us to violate copyright laws," which back then would have meant, don't ask us to make a copy of your VHS tape of some Disney movie or something. So copyright was something we were already familiar with, because in the AV office we had to refuse service to people who wanted us to do stuff that could break copyright law. So mostly stuff involving VHS tapes, because IT got the money. AV kind of didn't, so we used VHS probably a lot longer than we should have. The computers in the school got replaced every 2 years, but we were still using VHS. And I found out many years later that the AV folks actually had a YouTube channel, and I saw them still using DV tapes long after most of the YouTube world had moved on to Flash media. I was like, oh, what the heck, man? They're doing like tutorials on, oh yeah, borrow a camera from the AV office, and here's how to load a DV tape. You know, I used to have a DV tape camcorder, my original Canon Alora 2006, and you would hook it up to a computer via FireWire. We're going back. We're so going back. You'd hook it up via FireWire, and the computer would actually rewind and fast forward to cue the tape to extract all the footage from your DV tape. I like that camera, man. That's so crazy what technology has nowadays. Even for cheapo folks who don't have a lot of money. All right. Copyright was already a thing with the AV folks, usually with VHS tapes. I don't even think we had, I think we had one external CD burner to sign out with the AV office for people that needed a CD burner, as if we didn't already have them in our computers. So asset permissions were already, this is Otis McDonald, isn't it? Yeah. There we go. Some of what Otis McDonald does has some vocals in it. It might make me hard to understand if there's voices going at the same time as mine, so. Asset permissions were already a thing with me, and I already used the formal term. I had some YouTube videos in 2006. I already knew the formal term, and I would talk about that as well. So I was already doing things like fair use clips, not playing copyright music, things along those lines. See here. In 2006, not trying to make myself look that old, but I am. Asset permissions were already a thing with me, and I already knew the formal term asset permissions. You probably used it in some YouTube videos back then. I might be able to dig up something from back then when I actually was talking about asset permissions. It might have been 2007, though, not 2006. So as a result of not starting from square one with copyright, I spent years using royalty-free smart sound, etc. There was one exception. I made a video in 06 with music from Jamendo.com, which was a Creative Commons music site. Put in some attribution and stuff like that for the music. But even then, I was not using top 40 stuff. Spent years using royalty-free smart sound, etc. as background music in videos. And this is when I started noticing what I notice now with Twitch, that it is a problem when people are doing better than you because they're using copyrighted music. So, I took a hit in views and growth while other bigger channels were using copyrighted music without, or getting away with it, I should say. Getting away with using copyrighted music. This really, I mean, DMCA always applies. It's a matter of whether the rights holder wants to do anything. So, when I saw the copyright strike system and the other stuff come into effect on YouTube, that's when I started to really see. That's when I started to think that, you know, maybe the playing field was getting leveled. When the strike system rolled out, I thought at least a little that the playing field was getting leveled. I stopped using royalty-free music after sketchy companies were trying to claim the theme music that I was paying $50 a song for to commercially license for YouTube videos. So yeah, once upon a time, but there were no alternatives. Let's see, yep. Beginning, the YouTube audio library launches, I use it. The Wacky World of MultimediaJay was my first major, or my first video series to commit. Hey, why don't we play that? Oh, it's after this Evening Land song. Evening Land is, by the way, is one of the YTAL artists that I'm a huge fan of in terms of dance music. So let this play. When we get to a song that I don't really recognize as much, we're actually gonna load up Jason Farnham's world map. The Wacky World of MultimediaJay was my first video series to commit to music coming exclusively from the YTAL. I accepted the challenge of perusing the YTAL and becoming familiar enough with its artists and songs to select good sounding music from the YTAL that plays with DMCA-able copyrighted music. I mean, listen to what we're listening to right now. Let me turn it up. Hey, why don't we do that? Let's have a listening party here. Welcome to Jay's Late Night Dance Party! Oh, yeah. It's fun, though. I actually have the background music. I have the background music at the same... This song, it should be playing, actually. It's called Love Now. That's why I have this Winamp hidden... It's Winamp, I know. That's why I do this. So I can give credit to the artist this way. This is actually Winamp with an ice blue skin, so people don't know immediately that it's Winamp and make fun of me for it. Let's open up Firefox for a second here. Hold on a second. YouTube.com. No channel. Let me see how... YouTube.com. Oops. Stop! Just went to some rando's channel and I didn't want to. Ah, there's some new stuff for me to watch. Cool. There we go. MultimediaJay. There we go. Let me start there. Delete everything. Ah! I don't need a special playlist. Sweet. Yeah, I don't need a special playlist for this. This is too loud. There, 5% for the volume. I don't need a special playlist to show when my streams are live, because my live stream will be in spot numero uno on the channel page. Sweet! Love it. All right, let me go look, actually. Evening Land. Is this another... Evening Land music! Is that it? Oh yeah, Nimbus, Evening Land. That's another song that I recognize. This is called Love Now. Why don't we start it over again? Let's start the darn song over. It's pretty cool. Evening Land, Love Now, Love Now. Ah, there it is! Love Now, Evening Land. Yeah, Evening Land music. I'm going to sub to their channel right now. Oh yeah. Firefox, please. Bada bing. There you go. That's what we're listening to right now. About Let's Go You and I with the Evening Stretched Across the Sky. Join 2018. Da 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 da. Subbed. Bell. Yeah, let's do that. That's what we're listening to. So again, it's not just rando, never heard of them. We're probably being introduced to them through this service. But it's not just randos dumping random shovelware music here. These are folks with YouTube channels. So what's another one? Who is that dude with the French-sounding name that I've been doing a lot of their... But something... I probably would have a much better job finding... Noir et Blanc V. He has a channel as well. There we go, yeah. Life Isn't Always Black and White. Keyboardist, vlogger, etc. Firefox. There you go. Simpson Music. Love this guy's mellow music. I've been with the whole Geek House Dark Mode project. This, where am I on the stream? Oh, okay. I'm underneath my own logo in the preview, so I probably should not be in the lower corner like that. I'm stuck under this blue J. Can people see that when they watch the stream? Yeah, there we go. Noir et Blanc V. Why does he have the name Billy Ocean 2185? You can search for him either. Noir et Blanc V. Is that how you say it in French? Yeah, so there you go. These are artists. These are people who want to, get their music out there. And that's why, even though I'm not required in many cases to credit the artist with these things, I still want to have ways of doing that. So I will have credits in my YouTube videos, and I will have all kinds of other stuff going on here. Let me see if I can do this without some echo. Please tell me I'm not underneath a MultimediaJay logo in the lower right corner. Oh, there is a multimedia. Oh, it's only in the preview thing. If I go back to Firefox, we get the endless things right there. It's only in the preview because of how small the screen is. Back to PowerPoint. Oh, man. Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to this here. I accepted the challenge of perusing the YTAL and becoming familiar enough with its artists and songs to select good-sounding music. Don't forget to save your work. From the YTAL that plays ball with DMCA-able copyrighted music. So... There we go. What more evident? I mean, I gotta stop here because literally every single artist that there's so many artists. Quincus Morera, there's another one. Riot as well. I mean, you just see, I can scroll through this Winamp playlist. Spence is another one. The 126ers, the Mini Vandals. I'm just gonna be reading off the playlist of awesome artists from the YTAL because that's what I have. That's what I've kept all. I mean, I've cleared out a few songs over the years. But in terms of, I mean, these are some examples of awesome artists. Ethan Meixel, incredible with metal. Silent Partner is multi-genre. Jingle Punk, same thing. Evening Land, of course, who's featured some of that earlier. Vibe Tracks, Slink, Noir et Blanc V, Otis McDonald, Akash Gandhi for piano. Diamond Ortiz for hip-hop. Dougie Wood, the Do or Die song that sounds really 80s that I use in some of my tech videos is Dougie Wood's Do or Die. He's Jammy Jams is incredible at jazz. I mean, I'm going to be going down literally the entire playlist if I try and make that kind of a slide. So I'm just going to trash that and just stick with this for my progression with copyright on music. Hey, you know what? Why don't we... Is Dougie Wood... If I played the song, you would recognize it. I think it might be in a separate... Yeah, it's in a separate folder. It's in a separate folder nowadays because it's under full songs. But I think this might sound familiar to you folks. Where is Do or Die? It's in here somewhere. Shadow of Love from Jingle Punks. It's another one. Main themes, Controlled Distress, instrumentals. Weird. Thought I had it. Yeah, there it is. Dougie would do it. Okay, it is in with the instrumentals. This will sound familiar. Very loud song. Holy crap, the levels are off the charts. Anyways, if you follow what I do on YouTube, you've probably seen that. I used to use that song a lot with benchmarks whenever I'd run like the Unigen benchmarks on computers and stuff like that. So let's find something else. Oh, yeah, more Evening Land. Let's go back to that. And that's the thing too. A lot of these artists are more already a thing with me. Oh, I forgot the comma. Okay. There we go. I've actually heard some Twitch streamers get submitted intros to use this song for a dance intro for what they do. Let's see, 5% will be good because these are some loud songs. And I want the background music to stay in the background. Alright. Let's go over some points. Oh, this is another good song. See, a lot of the more recent artists are actually trying to get exposure through the YTAL because people then use them in YouTube videos. One of the things I think that has helped with the YouTube audio library is the algorithms themselves and the deep scanning that's going on. So I'm wondering if there's artists out there that want to become known because their music pops up in videos and the videos get linked together because of a common song. That sounds like the sort of thing that YouTube would actually have. They don't, I mean, let me check the Quirky Pixel experiment. It's still not live control room. Other Firefox, please. Don't want to crash the stream if Firefox goes down. YouTube.com/MultimediaJay. Let me search my channel for Quirky Pixel. I think they have this technology. If they don't, hey, you know, I'm wrong about something. No results. Okay, not yet. I'm experimenting with seeing if the YouTube Deep Scanner can pick up if I talk about a creator as opposed to reading text. So, you know, if I add, let me tell you what will mess with the system. Watch this. This stream will come up in the results, and I'm going to laugh when I jinx myself. New slide, title only. Ready? We're messing with the algorithm now. Have at it, Deep Scanner. I know you exist. Get rid of the squiggle. Add quirky pixel to the dictionary. There we go. We just leave this somewhere in the video long enough, and probably after it converts over to a YouTube video, the Deep Scanner will read the username here, and then you'll be able to search my channel for Quirky Pixel commentator, a Twitch commentator, by the way, and the replay of this stream will come up in the results. That's YouTube for you. Let's make another slide. All right, so what I think is next for Twitch streamers. So, once again, Twitch is where YouTube was a long time ago. So I'm going to feel old, of course. So here's the thing. Twitch streamers need to come to grips with the reality that if they think they need copyrighted music for their content to be good... How loud is this? Ooh, this is too close to the dialogue. This song is too loud. And I've got it in an ear trumpet at 5%. Put it down to like 4% now. Yeah, it might be... I don't know if I have the volume normalizer on the computer turned on. Twitch streamers need to come to grips with the reality that if they think they need copyrighted music for their content to be good, their content isn't good enough. On the flip side, this gives them direction on what to focus on. So, here's a couple of Twitch streamers that I'm a big fan of. SFan TV, Yugi TV. Both of them have... Should we add a third one? I'm trying to think of somebody else who used... Asmongold, I've heard him playing some stuff there before. So, these folks... Get the gender language correct, darn it. These folks... They've all had some element of copyrighted music in their streams. Their challenge is to make their stream good enough that they don't need it anymore. So the case of Yugi, for example, dancing to random music in random places. I'm curious if maybe she could... I don't know if the Korean music companies that do all the K-pop and stuff are going to be as stuffy as American music companies, who would go on these DMCA sprees. So, I have no idea what it's like in Korea versus the US. Excuse me, I only know our stuffy arse music industry over here. Movie industry, too. Ugh. So, on the flip side, this gives them direction on what to focus on. So, improve their content to the point where they don't need it anymore. Find a way to express themselves in a way that they can snub these rights holders by not using their stuff. Find a way to have an audience while snubbing. Find a way to have an audience while snubbing these stuffy record companies by not using their stuff. That's really... And this is the other thing of it, too. The general public needs to learn this as well. So that's the issue here. The gravy train is over, unless they want to be consistently running off to smaller and smaller platforms until those platforms get big enough to be a target for DMCA waves. This cat and mouse game is never going to stop. It's Twitch's turn now. Maybe it'll be DLive's turn next. Maybe Trovo or something later on. So really, we talk about, for example, Twitch streamers who are hitting the limits of what Twitch can do for them. and that it might be better for them to become a YouTube streamer. Take Valkyrae, for example. I actually have a picture over on Twitch, or over on Twitter. Let me see, when did I mention? Well, it should be, nope. I actually do have in my media section, which is huge nowadays, over on Twitter. So I share a lot of stuff, and I make graphics and things like that. I did, however, snap a screenie of Valkyrae's Sully Gnome before she went to YouTube. How long is it going to take for me to scroll to it? Yeah, I think this was before... There it is. Put that on screen, go to the regular browser. We're going to have to link up the regular browser because of security with this. There we go. This is Valkyrae before she came to YouTube. So, to give you an idea for those of you that aren't familiar with Twitch, Twitch is a way smaller platform than YouTube that does an incredibly good job marketing itself. So, because of this, people think Twitch is bigger than it is. So, anything above 500 concurrents means you're a huge streamer. You're a decent size, you're a decent sized streamer when you hit 3 digits. You are most certainly big when you hit 4 digits. So that's really what big is, as opposed to what you see on YouTube nowadays. This is Valkyrae. She was obviously below 1,000 for much of the time she was streaming. Then something happened in 2018. A lot of Twitch's growth has been the direct result of the adpocalypse and people who changed platforms because of it. And because they came over from YouTube, now there was a feedback loop between their prior YouTube content and their current Twitch streams, which helped with the search engines. You'll see a lot of big streamers on Twitch take off in the late 2010s because of this. But this is Valkyrae before she signed the exclusivity deal with YouTube. And you see her hanging around 2,000 concurrents for the most part. There's ups and downs like anybody else. She can get raided and cause all these spikes. But about 2,000 concurrents. Is she live right now playing some late night Among Us? Yes, she is. To how many people? 58,000 concurrents. In comparison, who's the biggest? So Valkyrae right now, YouTube streaming to 58,000 concurrents, so that means her audience is way bigger than 58,000 people. If you know the difference between a concurrent viewer and a YouTube view, and there's a huge difference. That's why I'm not too concerned about the concurrence on this stream, because its future is as a YouTube video, so people can watch it after the fact if they're not up in the middle of the night like I am. So, night shift, baby. But let me just bring up Twitch on this other browser here. Twitch.tv, and go to the About section. Oh, this is going to play something. I'm going to my channel first. Stop! It's playing the art stream from yesterday. Let me go to the Among Us section. Who's the biggest? XQC, right? Browse. So Valkyrae. Ooh, it's not even the biggest? No, it's algorithm stuff. Who's the biggest in Among Us? Viewers high to low? Pokimane, 54,000 viewers. The thing with Pokimane and Valkyrae, though, are basically roommates, I think. So they're friends and stuff like that. So it is kind of a showdown between YouTube and Twitch between those two playing Among Us. Among Us has a real serious... Among Us goes very well with streamers, especially, but I think it's going to collapse at some point because streamers are going to start outing parts of their personality when they get too into this game. So I think that's going to be an issue. This is Ethan Meixel, by the way. Tell me that this is just shovel music on the Y-Tal and you wouldn't crank this in your car, especially if you love 80s rock or metal. Pokimane, 54,000 concurrents. Valkyrae, 58,000 concurrents. But Valkyrae makes the change away from Twitch and goes from a couple thousand concurrents. I'm curious how high her numbers are when she's not streaming Among Us. Among Us is huge right now. Among Us is huge right now. I'm not interested in the game. I know it's a fad. It's going to be like fidget spinners. We're going to go from everybody playing it to nobody playing it whenever the streamers, this all collapses and stuff. It depends on whether these streamers can control themselves or not. If they start outing that they really are kind of devious and backstabby and cloak and dagger, and it starts hurting their audience in terms of who's watching them, that's when we'll see streamers be like, oh, I'm done with Among Us. Then all the little streamers, the wannabes and things like that will be out as well. And we'll see suddenly, boom, just like how Fall Guys collapsed once Among Us came out. But yeah. That's one of the ways I keep an eye on the rivalry between Twitch and YouTube is Valkyrae and Pokimane. Matter of fact, why don't I refollow Pokimane even though I blacklisted her channel? I can still manually follow her. It's just that the algorithms will never recommend her content to me ever again. See, let's mute her stream and let's click follow. That'll be a way to keep an eye on the numbers. I'm rethinking, you know, who I follow and why on these platforms because I'm thinking in terms of all that. All right, so what's next for Twitch streamers here? So I want to keep an eye on the besides this couple of ways, keep an eye on the platform rivalry. Megan is an incredibly good creator to follow on one of her platforms, probably YouTube. So she has counters going for all of her platforms at once when she multi-streams, but I think Valkyrae versus Pokimane would be good for YouTube versus Twitch in terms of like a queen streamer, so to speak, on each platform. Certainly been a lot of publicity about Valkyrae lately, about how her numbers have gone crazy since going over to YouTube, but hey, YouTube wants to be, you know, put some more oomph in their streaming. And hey, competition is good. So, Twitch streamers need to come to grips with the reality that they think they need copyrighted music for their content to be good. Their content isn't good enough. On the flip side, this gives them direction on what to focus on. Find a way to have an audience while snubbing these stuffy record companies by not using their stuff. If Twitch streamers don't want to change, it's a shakeout. Shakeout equals business term for a situation where weaker players exit a market. So in this case, we're not necessarily talking about people giving up streaming, but either they can't get their stuff together and they can't be successful without copyrighted music, or they get DMCA'd off of Twitch. And then they have to ask themselves, YouTube has a more robust copyright system than Twitch does right now. Do they want to come to YouTube? Or how about Facebook, who is working on algorithms similar to YouTube, but they're known for not being as good? Same thing with the advertising system. Twitch is where you will run into a 40-second video with a 20-second mid-roll. Or at least I've done that before. There can be some bizarre technology on Facebook because Facebook is scrambling to catch up to YouTube as well. So, and with Twitch's strong gaming and streaming culture, as well as the rules we mentioned earlier in the stream, where Twitch streamers have to blow off anybody who's banned by order of Twitch's brass, because Twitch is the stuffiest of the three platforms. Because of all of this, you have a situation where a streamer is pretty much destroyed, especially if they're a Twitch partner and now they have to argue to get out of the contract or whatnot. That's something more for lawyers to think about here. Fusely's the one I'd keep an eye on. She already has 2 copyright strikes. What happens if this next DMCA wave destroys her channel? I'm sure she'll come to YouTube, but it's going to be a different environment when Twitch is ordering their streamers to not talk to YouTube streamers who were previously Twitch streamers but got banned off the platform. Let's see. Unlike a business shakeout, not all the shaking out will be voluntary. Some will be due to DMCA. With Twitch's stuffy rules regarding banned users, what happens to folks who get DMCA'd off of Twitch if they become decent and better streamers not using copyrighted music somewhere else? The next thing we need to take a look at is the general public. The general public needs to be educated about what's going on over on Twitch and how to proceed with this music and movie industry constantly stuck in the past. So, get the word out about the YTAL. Get the word out about the artists who submit to the YTAL. Help these artists grow by telling people about their music. Use a music player on stream to give the artist credit even when it's not required. Use credits in YouTube videos to give the artist credit even when it's not required. And lastly, snub the stuffy music industry snobs by showing people can move on from their outdated business model. So, let me just take another look at Twitter. Voice is shot, man. I think Rod Breslau was flipping out about, not flipping out, but really getting ugly about this. Among Us, Untrue Gamer, AOC Twitch streamer on Wikipedia. Oh, he just won't stop about AOC playing Among Us. Okay, let's take a look at this. Twitch streamers now get to experience the archaic... We don't need the PowerPoint for now. Twitch streamers now get to experience the archaic insanity of music industry record label BS that YouTubers have had to deal with for years. And yet Twitch has somehow managed to do an even worse job for creators than YouTube. Truly impressive work all around here. That's getting retweeted. As the BTTV Twitch folks would say, yep. Why don't I actually put a space before the period in this tweet? See if it'll trigger BTTV. Rod Breslau. What I love most about the aggressive tactics of record labels online is how so many major label artists want their songs to be played. Musicians or streamers and YouTubers themselves, they identify with creative content creators more than they ever will with the suits. What other stuff has he been saying? Has he said anything else? I think that's it for the follow-ups. It says he has a thread going here, so I think that was it. Yeah. Yeah. Quite a few slides tonight. I think. No. Right. Thinking of doing a platform switch and playing around with Twitch copyright, Twitch soundtrack, the copyright-free music thing they have over there. See what kind of stuff they have. Kind of like have a music party there or something. I got to install that first, so we'll take a break between streams and let my voice recover a little bit. But if we look at, say, PowerPoint here, what do we have for folks stopping by tonight here on this YouTube stream? 18 playbacks, that means 18 views. Folks have come and gone throughout this middle of the night stream, by the way. So, I also want to thank folks for the like. Thank folks who stopped by and hit like as well. So, what other stuff does this live control room have? Well, chat rate and playbacks, obviously. What do playbacks look like? Yep, so you can see when people came in. For the most part, around 12:10ish or so. So about 10 minutes or so after I start stream was basically the turnaround time for people learning that there is a stream going on. What's this Renaissance Fair jingle punk stuff? How about we, Oh, here we go. Oh, man. Good old Bird Creek saxophone music, baby. Yeah. I'm looking at Live Control Room for this. I like Live Control Room, by the way. How about we go over everything? coming up on 2 hours. That's my standard radio-style stream anyways. The progression of copyright on YouTube, it was the Wild West, the world's VCR. Family Guy episodes all over the place, until, of course, the infamous Viacom lawsuit. They started with strikes, then came Content ID. It was upgraded to Content ID Escrow. I think the next thing they should do is proportional Content ID. My progression of copyright on YouTube is I've always given a darn about asset permissions, went with royalty-free music for years, and now I'm a YTAL fan and listen to the background music. It's not generic elevator music or anything. Well, maybe this might be close to it. So, and I've accepted and tried to work with the challenge of using YTAL exclusively for music and trying to find the best stuff that plays ball with this stuff. And what I think is next for Twitch streamers. Twitch streamers need to get the word out to the general public, especially when it comes to copyright music, because the only way this industry changes is to hit them in the pocketbook. So stop giving a darn about top 40. Stop giving a darn about stuff you can't use in content, and get the word out that content creators get treated like this. That you have people that may have spent years building up a Twitch channel that now can get DMCA'd off because of clips from like 3 years ago. This is an industry that is known for being antagonistic, sometimes even more so than their clients. So, that's what we have for this. We'll see what happens. I'll keep talking about it on Twitter, of course. Wait, what's this? This is Dr. Momentum by Slink, worth cranking up. Another 80s one, reminds me of the stuff Dr. Disrespect would play. Fitting. Very fitting theme. So here's what I'm gonna do. Besides play this music. Hit save on that. We will send that up. Gonna color boost that in Picasa and send it up to Twitter in between streams. Get Twitch soundtrack installed. We'll play around on Twitch. See what kind of music they have versus the YTAL. That stream will remain Twitch exclusive. It will not come over to YouTube. So we'll do that. And we'll compare. You've been listening to YTAL music as I've done stuff on here. Now it's time to give Twitch a chance. We're in a platform switch, go live on Twitch, get this installed, see what kind of music they have, what does it sound like, versus something like Monster Cat, NCS, Overclocked Remix, other sources of music and whatnot. Also, don't forget Harris Heller and Stream Beats. He wants, I'm going to say to Harris Heller, if he ever sees this, put Stream Beats on the YouTube audio library. You tell people to go make YouTube videos to grow an audience and then bring that audience back to Twitch. Why isn't put Stream Beats if it's not there already? Let's check. Studio.youtube.com for a creator to bounce right over to it. Audio library. Let me just search. Stream Beats. No results. Harris Heller. Stream Beats on the YTAL. You tell people to go to YouTube. You want copyright-free music. Why not put Stream Beats on the YouTube audio library and get the best of everything? Plus, it's on the official whitelist for YouTube videos. Your move, Mr. Heller. Let's listen to this song. Tell me that it's too loud. things are compressed, so I don't need to play with the levels as much. Which is like a radio station. MultimediaJay radio style. Social media is youtube.com/multimediajay, twitter.com/multimediajay, twitch.tv/multimediajay, and multimediajay.wordpress.com. We're going to do a platform switch, install Twitch soundtrack, and go live on Twitch, twitch.tv/multimediajay, and we'll see what kind of music that Twitch has. We've been listening to a lot of stuff with the YouTube audio library during this stream as we've gone over everything and made those PowerPoint slides. Now, let's see what Team Purple has up their sleeve. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.